Do you have any tips for balancing raising a baby alone and finding time to worship? Wallahi, that is a big question. That deserves really it deserves its own lecture really. But let me just try and give it a couple of basic points, inshallah, what I can give. The first thing is that seek Allah's help in being able to worship Him properly. Seek Allah's help in being able to worship Him properly. Because without Allah's help, none of us would be able to worship Him. Every single prayer, you know what the Prophet ﷺ said to Mu'adh? He said, "Oh Mu'adh, inni la uhibbuk." I love you, Mu'adh. He said, Mu'adh, I love you. Don't leave any obligatory prayer without saying, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Don't leave any obligatory prayer without saying, Oh Allah, help me to worship you, to remember you, help me to remember you, and to be grateful to you, and to worship you well. So that's what a person should be like, right? Like, ask Allah's help to be able to worship Him. The second thing is realize that raising your child is an act of worship. Raising a baby itself is an act of worship. And it's from the most amazing acts of worship. And if you wish, read Surah Ali Imran from the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَى آدَمَ وَنُوحًا وَآلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَآلَ عِمْرَانَ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. The story of Maryam and the mother of Maryam. Wallahi, one of us would wish that in our whole life we could do even the tiniest of any percentage of what the mother of Maryam did. SubhanAllah, to raise a child, and it was the sunnah of the prophets, alayhim salatu wassalam. Like Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَذُرِّيَّةً. We made for them spouses and children. The prophets looked after children. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ raised his daughters alone after the death of Khadija radiallahu anha. And in that time, he spent that time, and in that time before he married. There is this in itself is an ibadah. So don't lose your intention of it. And then try to give everything its proper time. So when it comes to the prayer time, the time is for prayer, and try to let the baby, in that time, try to make that little bit of time when the baby's resting or whatever that you use for your prayers, inshallah, because the time for prayer is for prayer. But, when you find those other times, and the other thing I would say is try to combine between ibadat. So maybe you, instead of rocking the baby to sleep, read the baby Qur'an when you're rocking them to sleep. So then you'll combine between reading the Qur'an and between looking after the baby as well. May Allah make it easy for you.